Peace crochet friends, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a tutorial for the crochet beginner bunny. This pattern comes from Red Heart. You can find the written pattern on their website, which is Yarnspirations, and we're going to do this together. Now today we will be using a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. This is my number I. 5.5. You're going to need a tapestry needle or yarn needle. You're going to need some scissors, some stuffing for your bunny. This is polyfill. And you're also going to need a piece of cardboard. Now the pattern does not tell us how big this piece needs to be, but just know that you're going to use it to make the pom-pom for the tail of your bunny. Now, you can also use a pom-pom maker if you have one. I would use the smallest size of the pom-pom maker, okay? And we are using some 4-ply acrylic yarn. I'm going to use this sky blue, baby blue here, and we'll get started very soon. Now, just to go through the written pattern with you, this pattern is promoting the Red Heart Super Saver Craft Kit, which comes with 12 balls of different color yarn that you can purchase. So you can obviously use whichever yarn that you want. You don't have to purchase this kit in order to have 12 different colors. If you were making 12 bunnies, then I guess you could maybe make one of each. Like if you were having a party and you wanted to give everybody their own little individual bunny, or if you wanted to use them as basket stuffers for kids for Easter or something like that. Okay, so for each bunny it says that you're going to use 50 grams of yarn is going to make 2 bunnies, so you need 25 grams for 1 bunny. Okay, and then we're using the 5.5 hook here, and then all our other materials are going to be listed there. And for this pattern, you will need to know how to single crochet. You can follow the gauge recommendation here if you'd like to do that. You'll also need to know how to work on the right side and the wrong side of your project, and how to sew using a running stitch. Okay, so we're going to do all that together. I will show you how to make the pom-pom using the cardboard if you're not familiar with that. But like I said, if you want to use your pom-pom maker, you can do that as well. All right, let's get started. So to get started, we're going to make a chain of 21. Okay. All right. In the second chain from the beginning, we're going to place 1 single crochet, and you're going to continue that, just placing 1 single crochet in each of these stitches until you get to the very end. That should give you a total of 20 stitches for row 1. Okay. Now, when you get to the end of this row, you're going to turn your work around, chain 1, and then continue to single crochet. Okay, so almost there. My cat is having dinner in the background. You can hear him crunching away. All right, so at the end of this row, chain 1, turn your work. Okay, row 1 is complete. We're now going to continue with single crochets in each stitch across until you get to the end. You're going to continue this until you have 26 rows. Okay? So I'm going to meet you at the end of row 26. All right? So to get started, okay, I have finished the 26 rows of single crochet. So here is our square. So now I'm going to cut the end, and I'm going to fasten off. So I'm just going to pull that through, and we can hide that later. Now the directions are telling me I now need to pull out some yarn here, and we're going to put it in our needle. So I'm going to pull out maybe about 16 inches here. I'm going to cut this just so I know that I have enough, and I'm going to put this in my needle. And it says to leave a 4-inch tail at the beginning, and we want a 4-inch tail at the end as well. So now what we're going to do is lay this square out, and we're going to stitch a triangle into the top half of this square. So I'm going to start over here. I'm just going to place my needle on the right side. Make sure it looks like I'm kind of in the center or the middle here. And I'm going to make a running stitch, which means that I came up from the bottom. Now I'm going through the top, come up from the bottom, go in from the top, come up from the bottom, go in from the top. And I'm just doing that on a diagonal so that I am creating the side of the triangle. We're making a triangle shape here. Okay? So if you can see that close up. Okay? So just continue up. To the top. I just space it out just a little bit. Oops, you don't want it too close because see it keeps coming out there. But up from the bottom, go into the top. Up from the bottom and into the top. Okay? We're going to do that all the way down the next side until we have the shape of a triangle that we have created with this running stitch. Okay. And it looks like the diagram here, they're keeping the stitches kind of close together, but you know, like not too close. So we'll go down. Okay, and I will meet you when I have completed the triangle. So finish that side and then make the third side right across here for your triangle. Okay, I have finished stitching the triangle, and of course you can't see it because the yarn is the same color. But what I'm going to do now is take my needle off of here. So the directions are telling us that now we want to pull together the beginning 4 inches here and the tail that we have after making that stitch, right? So what I'm going to do now is lay this down, grab my polyfill, my stuffing, and do a little bit less than this. And we're going to place it in the center of that stitch triangle that we just made, okay? And now we're going to pull both of these tails together around the stuffing. So when you pull it, it's going to do that. Oh, that's cute. So this is our bunny ears. Let me turn it this way. All right, let's see if we can pull it some more. I'm going to cut a little bit of this off. Let's pull it some more. So I think that's as much as I'm going to be able to cinch it. Oh, that was cute and easy. Okay. All right, so now it says, with our needle and the remaining tails, we're now going to sew the body here. So you're going to fold these two sides up. This is the body back here. And we're going to sew this together. Okay? And it says that we can add some more stuffing here to make sure that the body is nice and stiff. All right, so let's do that now. So I'm just going to put my needle back on here. I'm probably going to have to cut some more yarn in order to sew that together. So actually, if you push this front side out, do you see how I did that? So this is how it was, right? So if you just push this in the center here, then that should give you the head, and then the two ears are up here, okay? So let us now sew these sides together. And it says that we are sewing this to form the body, so I'm not sure how we're going to do the head and the ears just yet, but I did already poke that out, you know, so that we would have the head already formed. So now I'm just sewing the back part of this to make the body. All right, so I will meet you here when we finish with that. Okay. So I finished sewing up his back here, and I put some more stuffing in his body. Now I'm going to sew the back end here to close this up. I should have left this a little longer, but I think we can finish it with what we have here. So I'm just going to put this tail back into my needle. I'm going to sew this back end here. And the directions are telling us to just continue on. It's not really saying that we need to sew the ears, but I feel like we do. So we're going to do that, because what's happening now is this is open, you know, and I want to stuff the head as well. Okay, but yeah, I recommend not cutting your tails too short, because you're going to need them to sew the body together. All right, so I'm just going to end up cutting another piece of yarn here so that I can finish sewing this. And I will meet you when we're ready to work on the head and the ears. Okay, so the body is now all sewn together. So we're going to work on this front part here, the head and the ears. I am just in awe of how easy it was to make those ears. Like, it's so cute just by cinching that triangle up like we did. Okay, so I'm going to stuff the head a little bit more, get some more stuffing in here. And I'm not going to try to stuff the ears. So what I will do, because we just can't leave this open, we have to sew this. So I got some tails here from the beginning and over here. So I'm going to take those two tails and sew the ears together. So I'll just pinch these sides here like that. And put this back in the needle. And then we'll sew these two together. So I'll just pinch it and sew it by going under each stitch, one on this side and one on the other side. It has been really warm today. It's not hot, but it's unusually warm. And the first day of spring is actually 2 days away. So I'm looking forward to that. But I just wasn't expecting it to be so warm today that I didn't need to wear my coat. You know? I didn't need to do that. And of course now I have some daylight, so when I get home I'm able to work on the videos in the evening and still have some natural light so you guys can see the projects clearly in the videos, right? And I hope you guys are enjoying the tutorials. Leave me a comment. Let me know what else you'd like to see me working on. I just love to make new projects. And part of my focus this year was putting out new projects for my Etsy shop. Not a lot, but just you know, something to keep the shop fresh and different. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. And I think as, you know, 2026 goes by, I will be putting up some more tutorials for wearables, so ponchos and sweaters and bags and things like that. Because those are the most watched videos on the channel, right? And I like making amigurumi. I like making anything, really. But I think the wearables are a little more popular. And, okay, here's our bunny. So I'm just going to go through one of these stitches here and make a loop and run my needle through that loop and knot it, and then I'll take this and go back down into the ear, pull that through, and then I'm going to cut it. Okay, so that is done. The body's done, the ears are done. So in the pattern here, the bunny is able to either sit up or lay down this way. What we're going to work on now is the tail. So we'll be right back for that. All right, we're ready to start the tail. I went back, looked at the directions. They do tell us how big this square should be. So it says cut a piece of cardboard that is 1 inch wide. So that looks about right to me. So I'm going to cut this. Okay. And now we're going to wind our yarn around the cardboard. It says to do it 50 times. Okay, that's 50. All right. And it says remove the cardboard So I'm just going to pinch it so it comes out of there. And I'm going to cut this off. And then we're going to take another piece and wrap it around the center here. And usually I see people do this while it's still on the cardboard, but I'm going to follow the directions as they have been written. Okay. So I'm going to tie this in the middle. And pull it tightly, and I'm going to knot it. Okay, and this is actually going to give me a smaller pom-pom than if I was using my pom-pom maker. Alright, so now what we do is we cut through the loops at each side of this. So we're going to cut. Try not to cut your piece that you wrapped it with. Cut that. Then we're going to go on the other side. Move that tail out of your way. And cut through these pieces as well. And I do have a video on how to use the pom-pom maker if you want to learn how to do that too. Okay, so there is our pom-pom tail. So now what we do is trim it down. We give it some shape because it's looking a little crazy. So we're going to cut some of these longer pieces off and just turn it around as you're cutting. Kind of push it out to make it like fluffy, like a ball. I like to do this over a little garbage can so these little pieces aren't everywhere. Okay, and I'm going to actually cut it kind of short because it seems to be the best way to shape it. And just be patient, you know, this can take a little time for you to get it the size that you want it. And you just kind of stick it back here, make sure it makes sense for the size of the body. Yep, I'll just turn that around, turn it around. And, you know, it's supposed to be like a little rabbit tail, so don't be afraid to cut it, you know, short. Sometimes I think they look a little fuller when you actually like cut it real short. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, I think that's good. So now I'm going to use these tails to sew the pom-pom to the body. And it looks like from the pattern that that tail is sitting up here. And like I said, when your bunny is finished, you can either sit him up this way or you can sit him up that way. And I'm going to use my metal needle this time because I feel like I'm able to get into the stitches a lot easier. Okay. We gotta do a little cleanup duty after this. Alright, so I'm going to take one of these long tails and just run it through the top stitch here on his back end and just pull it. And I'm going to go under, stitch down here, go up through the middle of my pom-pom, pull that up, go down through the center again, and come out over here. It's easier to not try to force the needle to go where you want it to go. Like if it just pops out in one particular spot, like just go with it, you know. So that way your pom-pom is not like cinched down and it's not fluffy anymore because you're like trying to force it to go in one direction. But I would definitely do this at least 5 or 6 times so that you know that pom-pom is not going to come off. So just go through the center and go back down in the middle. Actually, I don't think I need all these tails, but go back down through here and then make sure you knot it somewhere, because you don't want like a little kid to get a hold of this and just, you know, pull that tail right off of there. So then I usually make a loop down here, pull my needle through the loop, I pull it tight, give it a good knot, then I go back down into these stitches in the body, pull this through, and cut that end off there. So I don't need these two. I'm gonna cut them short as well and just blend them into the tail back there. All right, our bunny is done. And that was quick and easy. The longest part of this pattern was making the 26 rows of single crochet. But this is very cute. And you can make these in a bunch of different colors. You can decorate them around your home. You could gift them to some kids. You could put them in a basket, gift basket. You could tie ribbon around their necks or their ears, make them very cute. You could also add safety eyes here, or even stitch some eyes here with some embroidery floss. That would be cute as well. Or even stitch a little nose here. Oh, that's a great idea. All right. So leave me a comment. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe. Let me know how your bunny turned out, and you can send me some pictures as well. I will upload them to the channel or to my Instagram, which is Illis Crochet. Thank you for watching. Peace. I hope you enjoyed.